Here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and I thought it would be nice to do some herbal flashcards with you guys. And let's just talk about the month of October in general. So the month of October brings lots of really cool things from the grocery store, such as Brussels sprouts on the vine. I'll be sure to do a special video on Brussels sprouts, but they're one of my favorite things. And I've never thought to work with the inside of the vine, or I've never had the chance. I've always thought to, but never had the chance. So I got 2 of these for $6 at the grocery store, and that's totally worth it, at least for the Brussels sprouts. If it was by the pound, it would be way too expensive. But we'll do a special Brussels sprouts video. I just wanted to show those, and if you don't know what they look like, they pop off of this big stalk, and there they are, and they're one of my favorite things, whether that's the holidays or whether it's just any old time. Alright, so enough on Brussels sprouts. Let's talk about what we're doing. I have my daughter this weekend. Hello, Amanda, and everybody else who's joining us. I have my daughter this weekend, and I asked her really quickly, I said, Lily, how many days are a month? And she counted for me, and she was like, 26. And I was like, that's perfect, because I've been doing these herbal flashcards, and there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So today we're going to start with A, and we're going to go every single day. Tomorrow we'll do B, and I'll make a calendar just for this so you know what day's what. And I'll post a separate video on that. But today we're going to go over A. We're going to go over every single A herb that appears in this book in the same order. And it's going to help build our intuition and build our herbal knowledge. Flashcards are one of my favorite ways to build your knowledge in any sort, because you're able to you're able to study by yourself. Like, you're able to look at the thing and then guess the magical properties, and then guess the planet, the element, and the gender. Okay? Because that's what I have on the back of the card, right? So you write it in pen on one side and in pencil on the other if you guys are going to do these for yourself. I wish, there was just a flashcard set published with this, but the pile's getting so big. It's going to be a giant stack. I'm guessing that there might be 4 or 5 different cards that'll come out of this. But for the category of A, let me tell you how many cards we have. It looks like about 20. 1, 2, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So there are 29 herbs, spices, or fruit or veg that we're going to talk about, all from section A of this book. So let me explain how this builds our intuition. It builds our intuition because when we guess something before we know it for sure, before you actually look at the knowledge in the book, when you guess, you're tapping into that intuition, and then you're also really figuring out what that will help you figure out how that herb attaches to you personally. So, like, if you don't know what cinnamon is for, but you have always felt that it's good for psychic dreams, and then you look at the list and it's not good for psychic dreams, but to you it has been. Well, herbs work different ways for different people, but we're going to get all the information from Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, quote-unquote, my Bible, and we'll just get right into it. I want to say hello to everybody really quickly before we start, and I'm going to give you guys time to guess. So after I hold up the flashcard, I'll give you some time to guess before you note it in your Book of Shadows, okay? And those things that you guess, I would write those down too. So I recommend everybody get like a pen and paper for this episode, and note down everything you can, especially if you don't have this book. But even if you do have this book, this is great just to kind of see your knowledge, see how much you know, things like that. So let's say hello to everybody. Hello to Herbal Medicine and Magic, nice to see you. Hello to From the Dark Pool, love this idea, this is great. Yep, so this will take us all the way to Samhain, because there's 26 days left. So Brittany, how are you? Nice to see you. Joyce Jordan, so glad that you're here on this episode. I said hello to Amanda, so we're doing good. I've got 87% right now, so we'll definitely be able to get through A. Alright, so I have to pretext by saying I don't know how to pronounce all these probably. I wish that in the book it would have the pronunciation. Does it have the pronunciation in the book? It doesn't. It doesn't have the pronunciation. But there's lots more information in the book than there is that I'm giving to you. I'm just giving you tidbits of information from the book. My Etsy shop's down below if anybody needs any workings for Samhain, and my Patreon's down below for anybody that wants to support and receive those exclusive videos of my workings that aren't on YouTube anymore. Okay, so first herb is Acaia. I would pronounce that Acaia. Acaia. Now, there are two magical properties, and then we can guess the element and the planet and the gender. Okay, so if you guys need to pause, if you're watching this video later so that you can kind of reflect and note those things down, what your guess of the gender, the element, and the planet is, and then the two magical intentions that this herb has. Okay, so great, you guys are guessing. That's fantastic. Amanda, yes, protection is one of them. Protection and psychic powers, those are the two magical intentions of this herb. And then for the planet, the element, and the gender, the planet is the sun, the element is air, and the gender is masculine. Now, I thought as this pile of flashcards was getting really big, maybe I should just only write out the herbs that I use. I'm writing out all of them, and then the herbs that I commonly use or that I have right now, I'm going to take it aside from it and memorize those first. Then I'm going to start memorizing all of them. But as we do these videos, I'm giving you all of A. All of A. And this will probably introduce you to a few new ones that you haven't used before or that you haven't thought of. Those there, we just did Acaia. Hey, Lady Virtus, nice to see you. Welcome. All right, Adam and Eve Root is the next card. So it is a poison. I have to note that. And on these cards, if it's a poison, I've also noted that. So it's a poison, the Adam and Eve Root. And then there are two magical intentions. And then there is the planet, the element, and the gender. So I'll give you guys a minute to go ahead and use the video, or like I say, if you're watching later. And just note down what you think and what you feel. If you've never worked with this, just go ahead and use your best guess. If you've never worked with it, just what is your intuition telling you? Hey Kitty, nice to see you. And yes, love is one of them. Very good. So one of them is love. And then Adam Eve Root has another magical intention. Very good. So magical intentions. Love, happiness. And the planet is Venus. The element is water. And does anyone want to guess the gender, since it has both Adam and Eve right there in the name? What do we think the gender of this one is, you guys? Great guesses, you guys. Creativity, balance. The great guess with balance, Dark Side Watcher Media, because you have both masculine and feminine right there in the name, and it's a root, so it's grounded. And that to me is like very balanced, you know. But the gender is feminine. So I'll say that one more time. Adam and Eve Root. It's a poison. It is good for love, happiness. The planet is Venus. The element is water. And the gender is feminine. Okay? And the good way to remember that, if you're trying to memorize it, is Eve comes second. Eve is the second, the second of the names. So just remember Eve. Eve is the dominant one there. Okay, so Adder's Tongue. I've never worked with this one. Adder's Tongue. It has one magical intention, and then there's a planet, an element, and a gender. So Adder's Tongue. What magical property do we think Adder's Tongue has? Truth, unity, good guesses, you guys. And yeah, when you're talking about tongue, communication. So whether or not communication is one of those properties, it says the word tongue in it, in the name of the herb. It's kind of branded there. So if you feel like unity or truth because it's tongue or communication, absolutely, all of those things would also be included. However, from this book, it tells us that the one magical intention is healing. And the planet of the adder's tongue is the moon. The element is water. And what do we think the gender is, you guys? Anybody have a guess on the gender of adder's tongue? So like I say, if you're watching this later, pause the video, write down all of your intuitive guesses, and this will really help teach us to trust our intuition when we see ourselves getting it right. All right. So it's female. The gender of adder's tongue is feminine. Okay. Healing, moon, water, feminine. Healing, moon, water, feminine. And the guesses were one masculine, one feminine. Yeah. Yep. All right. Next we have the African violet. There are two magical intentions for the African violet. Two. And then there's a planet, an element, and a gender. African violet. So, the two magical intentions are spirituality and protection. Okay? Spirituality and protection. Protection makes sense because a lot of people have these just as houseplants. And then the planet is Venus. The element is water. And the African violet carries a feminine energy. 26 days left in October. 26 letters in the alphabet. Today is A. Halloween will be Z. And Samhain will be celebrating Samhain on November 1st. Alright, next herb is Agaric. And I wish I would have covered that up first. Does anybody know what Agaric is? I could give you a hint by telling you that the scientific name for it is Amanita muscaria. Hey, Uncle Badger, nice to see you. And Amanda, we'll see you soon. Have a great day at work. You're welcome for me doing this. It's such a good one. Yes, Uncle Badger, it is a mushroom. The Amanita muscaria is the one that we see in Alice in Wonderland. So it is the kind of red mushroom with white spots. Okay, big cap like a portobello. There's one magical energy to the Agaric. One magical energy. And do you guys want to go ahead and guess what it is? There's also a planet, an element, and a gender. Yes, a mushroom with pixies and gnomes on it. Correct. You may see that. Good. That's a really good one, Kitty. That's a good guess. Mushrooms have spores. And when we think of spores, what does that make us think of? But remember, there are like millions, if not billions, of spores to a big mushroom, aren't there? So, Agaric, or Agaric, the Amanita mushroom, Amanita muscaria, it's poison, okay? It is a poison. I know people eat it for, you know, psychic abilities and hallucinogenic properties and have tea and stuff. Make sure you know what you're doing. And I'm not a doctor, I wouldn't recommend it. But, you know, there are different safer types and varieties out there, in my opinion. So, when we're talking about spores and mushrooms, I think that really rings in that fertility vibration. So the one magical property of the Agaric or Agaric is fertility. The planet is Mercury. The element is air. And the gender is masculine, and that makes sense because it's a phallic-looking object. Or it's a good way to remember it, yeah? Okay, next we have Agrimony. Agrimony. There are two magical intentions to this herb, and then a planet, an element, and a gender. Agrimony. I'm not sure about the agar gelatin plant-based, so it would be masculine. You know, I'm not sure about that one. So this one, the two magical intentions are protection and sleep. Okay, protection and sleep. The planet is Jupiter. The element is air, and the it's got a masculine energy. Next, we have the AGU root. AGU, A-G-U-E root. It has one magical intention. And it doesn't have any planet, element, or gender. It just has one magical intention. I do have to tell you this about it. When it may antagonize oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone that your body produces when you're going into labor. So if you're not going into labor and you want to induce labor, I'm not a doctor. This is Pitocin. For those of you who have gone through labor before, you probably know what Pitocin is. It aggravates and makes oxytocin produce. So if you're out in nature, theoretically, and I'm not a doctor, but if you were out in nature and you found this and you were overdue on your labor, or you need to stimulate labor or oxytocin for any matter, then you could eat this for that reason. It didn't say that it's poison at all. Obviously, it's been used for a long time to antagonize oxytocin, aka this is a hormone like Pitocin. Alright, so protection though, AGU root. Alfalfa, this is one I work with a lot. Alfalfa I always have on hand because we grow like the alfalfa grass from, you know, Alex had those microgreen trays. You plant alfalfa seed, and that's how I use it in my magics, is in the little seed. Or grain. And then we grow the grass, and it's like more booster than even like wheatgrass and stuff. It is like supposed to be the most amazing alfalfa and barley grasses. So there are 3 magical properties to the alfalfa. 3 magical intentions, and then planet and element and gender. So we got some guesses of abundance. Oh, there you go, lady. Absolutely. Because they put mushrooms in kind of a general area. It also pops up in this book under toadstool. I think the only time mushroom comes up in this book, if I'm right, is under Amanita muscaria and then toadstool. And toadstool's just like a general. But we'll get there when we get to tea. I'm not sure what day that'll fall on, but you can do the maths. So there are 3 magical intentions to alfalfa. We have prosperity. We have anti-hunger, which makes a lot of sense because it can really grow very fast. It grows very fast and very plentiful. And then money. Okay? So your money incenses, your money oils, that kind of thing. Prosperity, anti-hunger, money, the alfalfa. Anti-hunger also makes sense because we juice it for the amazing vitamins. And so it's really going to nourish our bodies. Alfalfa. The planet is Venus. The planet is Venus, the element is Earth, and the gender is feminine. Alfalfa. Prosperity, anti-hunger, money. Money. And it's cheap. It's really cheap. Go to the bulk bins and just get a little bit. It'll be like 25 cents for a bag this full. I mean, it's one of the cheapest ones. And it's got so many varied vibrations. Prosperity, anti-hunger, money. I like that. Alright, the next card we have is Alkanet. Alkanet. Again, I only work with about half the herbs in this book, and I'm excited to learn more about the rest of them and start working with more of them. There are 2 magical intentions for Alkanet. There is no planet, but there is an element and a gender. Okay? So the 2 magical intentions for Alkanet are purification and prosperity. There's no planet, the element is water, and the gender is feminine. Female. Feminine. Abundance, good guess. Prosperity and abundance really do go hand in hand though, Kitty. I feel like you were right there. Do certain planets usually correspond with if the plant is female or masculine? Like a, you know what? I'm really trying to find a pattern to all this, and I feel like when I'm done with the flashcards, I'll figure out more patterns. Kitty, that's a really good question. But I know most fruits, the element is water. Okay, that's the only pattern I've seen so far. Almost every fruit, the element's water. But as I figure out more tricks like that, I'll let you guys know. So Alkanet, again, purification, prosperity, no planet, element is water, and it's feminine. Okay, next is Allspice. So many of us work with Allspice, don't we? Especially now, coming up around these Sabbats and holidays of these colder winter months. Allspice. And in the summer when you're doing pickling at the end of summer. There are 3 magical intentions: a planet, an element, and a gender. So I'll give you guys a minute to think on that one and give some guesses. Allspice. Allspice berries are those when you get it in the whole and not powdered. That's how I prefer it in the berries. They're about the size of a tiny, tiny, tiny blueberry, or a big huckleberry. About the size of a huckleberry. Yeah. So the 3 magical intentions to Allspice are money, luck, and healing. The planet is Mars, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. Okay, Allspice. One of my favorites. Very powerful. And when it's in that whole form, it's great in a mojo bag, like in the whole berries. Next we have almond. Almond. There are 3 magical intentions: planet, element, and gender. Almond. Now it's interesting in this book because it talks about individual nuts, but then it also talks about nuts. Like there's under N, it just says nuts. And talks about nuts in general and what they are good for in general, which is really good because if you're trying to remember stuff, it's much easier to remember nuts than it is the difference between almonds, pistachios, cashews, hazelnuts, Brazil nuts, you know, list goes on. So almond is good for money, prosperity, wisdom, the planet is Mercury, the element is air, and the gender is masculine. Almond. Okay, next we have aloe. I work with aloe a lot. I've done aloe workings on YouTube. About 9 or 10 months ago, I hung a big aloe leaf. We were trying to guess 2 magical intentions. 2 intentions, a planet, an element, and a gender. Okay. So I hang a whole entire aloe leaf over my bedroom door, and that helps ward away evil. Okay, and I get these whole entire aloe leaves at the grocery store for like $1. And they're huge and beautiful, and they last being hung up out of refrigeration. Mine lasted almost 2 months up there before it started to kind of like leak or spoil. So aloe, protection, luck. The planet is the moon, the element is water, and the gender is feminine. Aloe. Now we have aloe's wood. There are 2 magical intentions: planet, element, gender. I've not worked with aloe's wood, but the 2 magical intentions are love and spirituality. The planet is Venus, the element is water, and it's feminine. Gender is feminine. Next we have Althea, Althea, Althea. There are 2 magical intentions. There's no planet, there's an element, and a gender. So for the 2 magical intentions, we have protection and psychic powers. No planet, the element is water, and the gender is feminine. Althea. Next we have Allison. Hey Sue Hennessy, so good to see you, welcome. Allison. Again, if you guys just joined, we're doing flashcards, all of A, throughout the rest of the month. There's 26 days left until Samhain. We are doing a letter a day, getting through this whole book. So pull out your Book of Shadows or come back to this video later and pause it, and we're guessing beforehand if we can. That way we can use our intuition to improve our own confidence in our intuition. So, Allison. There are two magical intentions, and there's no planet, element, or gender. Just two magical intentions. The two magical intentions of Allison are protection and moderating anger. Okay, protection and moderating anger. No planet, element, or gender. Next we have one that I love to grow. It's amaranth. Amaranth is generally like a really bright red. It looks like teeny tiny strawberry spinach, if you guys have ever seen that, which is an actual spinach. And the Hopi and lots of other cultures used to use it as like a beautiful, most dark red dye, like this darkest red scarlet. And I actually have some Hopi amaranth on my channel, so amaranth. So there are three magical intentions, amaranth, and then we have the planet, the element, and the gender. So take your time to think of what those might be. If you're watching after this video is not live anymore, pause it and write down what you think it might be. And the three energies that amaranth has is healing, protection, and invisibility. I use this in invisibility workings. The seeds are amazing in invisibility workings. The planet is Saturn. The element is fire, and that makes sense, both of them, because it's such a bright red. Saturn, fire, and then feminine. Saturn, fire, feminine, healing, protection, invisibility. Anemone. Anemone. There are three magical intentions: a planet, an element, and a gender. Anemone. So we have health, protection, and healing. Planet is Mars, element is fire, and the gender is masculine. I haven't worked with this one before, but it sounds like it does a lot of great things. Angelica, a favorite of mine. It's actually, whenever you go to purchase some, they're usually out of Angelica root. And a good substitution for Angelica root is Mimosa albiza. And in this book it's just called mimosa. But Mimosa albiza is a good substitute for Angelica root. And if you're using Angelica root for angel workings, then basil's a really good substitute. Angel or spirit guide workings. Alright, so it has four magical intentions, a planet, an element, and a gender. Angelica. And this is one that comes up in witchcraft, not super commonly, but pretty common. Protection, yes, kitty. Definitely protection is on this list. Hey, Brittany, nice to see you. Oh, I think I already said hi. So, protection, yes. We also have exorcism, healing, and visions. So Angelica root is good for exorcism, protection, healing, and visions. The planet is the sun, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. Angelica. See, kitty? Aren't you already starting to trust your intuition more because the guesses that you're making, they've been right so far? That's amazing. Alright, next we have Anise, or Anise. Depends on how you pronounce it. But remember that this isn't star anise. I pronounce this Anise, and it's different because we have Anise, and then when it comes to S, we have star anise. So don't think that this is our star. This is Anise. We have three magical intentions that come out with Anise. We have a planet, an element, and a gender. If you're wondering, in the back, those are Brussels sprouts, fresh on the vine. Anise. 3 magical intentions. And Kitty says, yes, she already is starting to trust her intuition more. Great. All right, so we have protection, purification, and youth. The planet is Jupiter, the element is air, and the gender is masculine. Anise. Apple! Probably one of our biggest herbs this time of year, or that we use in what we do, or I use in what I do. I just got a big bag of apples that I'm dehydrating into big flat stars. Things are just coming along because apples are one of the biggest orders I have this time of year. If you guys need any herbs, my Etsy's down below, and if you want to support and get exclusive videos, the Patreon's down below in the description. So make sure to check those out, you guys. Custom witchcraft workings, orders, etc. Apple. So we have 4 magical intentions with apple. We have a planet, an element, and a gender. So let's give some guesses for apple, since it's probably one of our biggest witchy herbs of this time of year, in my opinion. And it's also easy, and you can find it all over the world, I'm guessing. Now, protection isn't on the list. Protection isn't on Scotty's list, but remember, when you cut the apple down through the middle, like if the apple's sitting up like this and you cut it this way, not this way, but this way, you're going to see that star that looks like a star anise, or star anise. Just like a star fruit or a carambola fruit, just like on the top of the pomegranate there's a star. Any of these foods where the star's coming through, that represents protection. So you can make a note in your Book of Shadows from Taxidermy Witch, but a lot of witches will tell you that same thing, having that star. Alright, but the 4 magical intentions from Scotty, Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, is love, healing, garden magic, and immortality. Love, healing, garden magic, and immortality. The planet is Venus. The element is water. See, it's a fruit, water. And the gender is female. Almost every fruit, the element is water. That's a good tip if you're actually trained to memorize these things like I am. Oh, I like that about the Celtic myth, Thomas. Apple is female. You do know that. It's also associated with snakes and goddess. Yes, absolutely. And it was a big symbol in the Bible as well, right? In Genesis, in the story of the Garden of Eden. All right, next we have apricot. And if you guys don't know what vitamin B17 is, it's found in apricots, and it's known to cure cancer. I'm not a doctor. There's a bunch of studies done in the 60s. Helping cure children of leukemia and people that had lung cancer of their ills, and that whole entire research facility, there were 4 doctors and like 2 nurses and then a bunch of patients, like 11. The whole entire thing burned down, and all the research, 2 of the doctors passed away. 11, almost all 11 patients passed away. It was a huge, sad thing that's not ever talked about. But anyway, I have this, it's called the Cyanide Cookbook, and it's how to cook with vitamin B17 for cancer preventative diets. I have to say, sadly, I'm not a doctor, but please look into vitamin B17 if you or a loved one has that. I use apricot seeds that I dry out that has the vitamin B17 inside in its whole pure form for workings on for people who are going through cancer pain or trying to fight their cancer or things like that. Hey Maddie, how are ya? So good to see you. Maddie from Conjurer's Table is here. You've never heard of apricots as a cancer cure. Yeah, I mean, this was some research that was done in the 60s and that I had found out about a long time ago. And I thought that I would bring up, but there's something called this Little Cyanide Cookbook. You can look into it. Yeah, so apricot has 1 magical intention, and that magical intention is love. And then the planet is Venus, the element is water, and the gender is feminine of the apricot. Okay, I don't understand. Alright, next we have Arabic gum. Arabic gum. It has 2 magical intentions. and then there is a planet, an element, and a gender. Arabic gum. So the two magical intentions for Arabic gum are spirituality and purification. The planet is the sun, the element is air, and the gender is masculine. Arabic gum we use to bind incenses sometimes, and if you were to read in your book, you'd find out more things that you could do with it, but that's what I have it for, and that's what I use it for. Hey Joyce! Kisses! I'm glad you're here. Alright, Bodice. I've not worked with this one. Okay, Maddie, I gotcha. Sorry, I didn't know. So, Bodice has two magical intentions: a planet and energy, planet and element, and gender. So the two magical intentions of our Bodice, or Air Bodice, are exorcism and protection. The planet is Mars, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. Alright, this one I don't know how to pronounce, but I'm going to enjoy your dinner, Maddie. It was good for you to stop by. Thanks, it was nice to see you. I'm going to try and pronounce this one. Asaphotida? Asaphotida? Joyce, am I saying it right? Asaphotida. It has three magical intentions, and a planet, an element, and a gender. Asaphotida. Asaphotida. So the magical intentions are exorcism, purification, and protection. The planet is Mars, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. So again, if you guys aren't able to note this down in your Book of Shadows right now, you can certainly watch this video later and pause it as you go. Next we have ash. And again, we're not talking about fireplace ash here, we're talking about ash, the plant. Alright. It has four magical intentions, and there's a planet, an element, and a gender. If you guys want to think of what those might be, four magical intentions. Alright, so the magical intentions are protection, prosperity, sea rituals, and health. So you could make an ash wand for your sea rituals. You could make a piece of furniture out of ash. I think ash is wood. If you were having trouble with your health. Or you could stuff a pillow with it if you were having trouble with your health. You could also sit in this or have it near you for protection or prosperity. The planet is the sun, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. Ash. Yeah, and I thought it would be just real fun, you know. This is just the way that I set up my flashcards, you guys, with the word on the front and then pencil on the back. And I totally suggest that you do it yourself. You can even do it with this video. You don't even need the book, but you have to put all 26 videos together, right? Alright, next, I think we have 4 cards left of the letter A. Aspen. A-S-P-E-N. Aspen. I know, I wonder why the C2 on ash, right, Kitty? It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but the vibrations are the vibrations. Aspen has 2 magical intentions, and then a planet, an element, and a gender. The magical intentions of Aspen are eloquence and anti-theft. The planet is Mercury, the element is air, and the gender is masculine. Aspen. Aspen sounds like a men's cologne, so to me it makes sense that the gender is masculine. Aster. A-S-T-E-R. Aster. There's just one magical intention here, and then it has a planet, an element, and a gender. Aster. The magical intention of Aster is love. Hey, Purple Sky, how are you? The planet is Venus, the element is water, and the gender is feminine. So Aster, love, Venus, water, feminine. Next we have Avens or Avens. I haven't worked with this before. There are 3 magical intentions, a planet, an element, and a gender. So go ahead and guess either in your head or write down what your intuition tells you this could be used for, or if you already know it, you know, guess it, type it, whatever you want to do, but we can learn to trust our intuition by doing this, by guessing what it could be good for. And then when we look into the book after we've guessed and written down our guess, we can, you know, prove to ourselves, yes, I did have that intuition, I did know it. And there's a good chance that you practiced herbalism in another life, and that this is just a refresher course, and that your intuition is telling you that because you've known it before. And that's what I believe. Okay. So the 3 magical intentions here are exorcism, purification, and love. The planet is Jupiter, the element is fire, and the gender is masculine. So Avens or Avens. And lastly, but not leastly, I was thinking this would have been so good on my breakfast this morning. I made wicked tofu scramble this morning. It was so good. Avocado. And I put this in my dehydrator and I use it in magic in 5 ways, an avocado in 5 ways. The skin, the fruit itself, you can dehydrate it. It looks hilarious when it's done. It's bright green. The skin, the fruit, the leaf, the wood, the seed. The skin, the fruit, the leaf, the wood, and the seed. And I take the seed, and I've done a video on how to make beauty rituals with this, because one of the elements, there's three magical intentions that are attached to this. One of them is beauty, so you guys just have to guess the other 2. But we make a beauty mask out of fresh avocado, and then grinding up in a microplane the dehydrated seed. And this is an amazing exfoliant for the skin, as well as it adds all of those beautiful omega-3 fatty acids into your face, which is like a collagen boost. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a beautician, I'm just telling you what I've known from books. So avocado. And I don't know why it's not on here, but I use it hugely. And I know 4 people who've gotten pregnant from using avocado. So fertility is an exclamation point on this one. For Scotty it wasn't, but for me, and in today's witchcraft from my group of friends, avocado is a huge. So beauty, lust, and love. Okay, and fertility. The planet is Venus, the element is water, and the gender is absolutely feminine. So, that was all the flashcards for A. I think we said we had 29 or 28 there. Tomorrow is B, where we will do like an extensive part on these Brussels sprouts, because it took me 45 minutes to do this. It shouldn't take me more than an hour and a half at the biggest episodes, because I have some, like the letter C, there's like 60, and then the letter S, there's a bunch, and so some of these episodes will be longer than others. But remember, if you want to support the channel, Patreon's down below and Etsy's down below if you need herbs or witchcraft workings, or me to do a working for you, or a spell kit, or stones, or taxidermy, or oddities, or anything. If you need it, message me. But last days until Samhain, there's 26 days. Now there's 25 because we got through the A's, right? So every day until Halloween and Samhain, we're going to do another letter. And on Halloween, we'll be on letter Z. And start with Samhain videos on Samhain. We'll see what we're up to, see what we're doing. But we've got a big day with B tomorrow. And remember, we're going to do a video on Brussels sprouts since we're at B. I'll try to tie some herbs in and add some, you know, actual textile things to this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, because if you watch all 26 videos, you will have a big grab on what you need to know and memorize. You know, a big grab on that. So I hope that this helps you guys. I highly recommend that you purchase this book because there's so much more information than I'm giving you here. We're just doing the basics on these flashcards. So I had a really good time. I hope that you guys had a really good time. And thank you for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, while we went over the letter A in the 26 days until Samhain. Have a beautiful day, you guys. Kiss, kiss, ta. Bye-bye.